はじめまして、アリサです。アメリカから来ました。でも今、ホストファミリーと東京に住んでいます。明らかに早稲田大学の3年生の留学生です。おそらく寝ながらレディオをつける。それに今日はもう終わってしまいました。日本語はちょっと難しいから毎日たくさん勉強します。でも今日は皆さんに日本語を教えている。よろしくお願いします。In case you can tell, I said this last week, but I wanted to do something a little different, and then I didn't. And then this week I was like, I have to do something different because I didn't do anything. I have no footage except for like random flowers here and there. So I was like, yeah, let's do something informational again. And I thought that talking about like Japanese and just the basics of it, and also my Japanese journey, and maybe just teaching you guys how to like introduce yourselves, I think that would be fun because the whole reason, not the whole reason, but the biggest reason that I am studying in Japan right now is for the language experience and to become more fluent in Japanese. So let's just get right into it. I started learning Japanese about a year and a half ago, almost at this point. I started doing it my second year of college because I needed an extra class, and so did my best friend and roommate, and we were like, wow, taking Japanese together sounds fun, and that's what we did. And then I kind of fell in love with it even more after taking a semester. She didn't take another semester, so I was sad, but I still kept going. And I met lots of new people there and lots of great teachers that helped me like get to Japan in the first place. And yeah, we used the Genki textbook, which after seeing the textbook that we use for my Japanese class now, I love Genki because I hate what we use now. Like I get it, it's like an immersive textbook, but it's just not as fun. There's no characters. Genki has tons of fun characters. I'm not even gonna get into it. I miss Genki. It was so easy. There are many reasons why people want to learn Japanese. Like, you know, people are interested in anime. Like that's how I first got introduced to Japanese media and stuff like that. I don't really watch it or read it anymore nowadays, but you know, it's still a part of my history. I guess. And there are people who just like the culture, like with fashion or technology, transportation systems. It's a lot better here. So yeah, there are many different reasons as to why someone wants to start learning a language, but it's definitely a lot more centralized when it comes to Japanese because it's a really hard language to learn. Because not only, you know, I took Spanish for 6 years, so I understand what it's like taking a language that uses, you know, an English alphabet like we're used to a Roman alphabet. But this is different because not only does Japan have the Roman alphabet, like the only reason the Roman alphabet was made, like in regards to Japanese, was because it was the only way that people could make Christianity come here, and it's the only way they could like make white people understand. I don't know. The first thing would have to be the fact that there are 3 different alphabets in Japanese, 3 different writing systems. The first one is hiragana. It's basically just a bunch of like vowels and consonants put together, and I'll put in a table so you can see everything. So that's usually the first thing that people learn. It's usually the last thing that people learn before they quit. Second is katakana, which is the alphabet that's used when writing foreign words. So for example, like kohi, coffee, is written in katakana because it's a borrowed word from another language. So usually that's the second alphabet that you learn. And then finally, you know, I didn't give people enough slack when I said they quit after hiragana. Kanji is where people quit. It's where I wanted to quit. It's where I avoided learning. I was like, I'm gonna learn Japanese but not learn kanji. And then I came to Japan and I was like, wow, everything's in kanji. Kanji is basically Chinese characters that represent different hiragana. So you were like, why do we use it? It condenses. If everything you wrote in Japanese was in hiragana, a simple sentence would be this long. So you have to use kanji to condense things, and also kanjis have multiple meanings and stuff like that. So luckily you can use pictures to help teach you. I'm a huge fan of using pictures. If we look at the kanji for the word Japan in Japanese is Nihon, and so you have the first kanji character, which basically just means sun or day, depending on where it's used. And then you have hon, and that kanji is book. So together you can make some random meaning about why those are the characters, and you just do that with everything. And then finally we have grammar, which is also difficult when you're coming from English because of, I wouldn't say sentence structure, because this is a bit complicated, but luckily in Japan you can kind of structure sentences however you want, but there is a way that people do it mostly that, sounds natural and makes sense. And in English, you may know that we use a subject, verb, object order. So basically, like, I went to the store. I, subject, went, verb, to the store, object. But in Japanese, how most sentences are structured are subject, object, verb. So I went to the store now becomes I store to went. So basically, I went to the store. English. Mise ni ikimasu. Mise, store. Ni, the particle that you use to indicate a direction. Ikimasu, I went. And then watashi is a pronoun for I, but pronouns in Japan don't really exist, so that's a whole nother story. Another thing that can be challenging when you're first starting out is talking about politeness, because there's a thing called keigo, which is basically just Japanese but completely polite, and that has to do with how you conjugate verbs. If anyone's taken a language class before, the word conjugate probably scares you, and it will always scare you. But luckily in Japanese, conjugation, I'm just going to compare it to Spanish because that's, what I know. Spanish conjugation changes not only on which tense you're using, future, present, past, but also what type of person you're talking about. He, she, we, them, stuff like that. But in Japan, everything's the same. It's just thankfully based on tense, future, past, like affirmative present, negative present, but then unfortunately you also have to conjugate adjectives. So that's the downfall, this is the catch. Keigo is just important because you use it when you're talking to higher ups or people who are just superior to you. Japan is a very hierarchy-based country, so even in the workforce, if you've been there longer than someone, if they're older than you, they are your superior, and typically raises and stuff like that are all based on age. That's a whole nother story. We're not gonna get into that today. Anyways, keigo is important because if you use keigo with someone who is lower than you, like a friend, equal or lower, like a friend or siblings and stuff like that. If you use keigo with them, it typically can come across as cold and we're not friends and here's how I'm telling you without actually telling you type of thing. So luckily foreigners can kind of get away with making mistakes, but native people, if you can very intentionally tell people things just with the grammar that you're using, so it's important to pay attention still. So I thought that we should kind of form a introductory phrase together. So let's just get started. Apologies to my friends and boyfriend who already know some Japanese. Skip it if you want, but this is for everyone else who's brand new. It's exciting. So if you heard me in the beginning of the video say hajimemashite, which basically means nice to meet you. It's usually what you say when you first meet someone. Next, you'll say your name. So I said Arisa desu. My name, Arisa, would be in katakana because it is a foreign word. and it would end. Remember, the verb comes at the end. Des basically means I am, it is. In this context, it's I am. So, Arisa des, I am Alyssa. So you would insert any name that you want, add des at the end. Des. And then usually after first meeting someone or giving a speech or something, you would say yoroshiku onegai shimasu, which is just like thanks for listening. There's like no direct translation, but it's just like the end all be all. Thanks. It's over now. I had a great time. Type of thing. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. So put it all together. Let's just make up whatever. I'll use my dad. はじめまして、J さんです。よろしくお願いします。Yay! So I hope that, this little different video is not bad. I thought it was fun. It was fun to be a little informational sometimes. Japanese is hard. It's really freaking hard, so it's nice to complain about it sometimes. But also, it's great, I personally really enjoy learning it because it just opens a whole new world of things, a whole new world of movies, books, videos, just content in general. Like, it's a whole new country full of things that you've never gotten to read or hear or listen or speak about before. So that's why I think it's so cool, and I'm so excited for there's 4 months left, 3.5, to continue to study. 皆さんありがとうございます。さよなら。